Hey there, everybody. What is going on? I want to follow up today on some comments that System 05-H1M had. Went and looked at their account to see if I could find some more information. There was just somebody that started a new a new YouTube account today. So um, I thought that was kind of strange, but it could very well be that this is the first time they've ever commented on a video and never needed a YouTube channel before now. But anyway, System 05-H1. So they were asking some questions on a video I did on how to add a 5 column row, and I've got this up in my other window here. So with social account icons in system.io, and I'll pop that up. It'll be up there. You can click on it if you want to go check that video out. But first question that this person had, again, I don't know if they're a male or female. Maybe the H1M is for him. Um, But the first question that they had was, is it possible to change the colors of the icons? And I responded back there that it's possible. And what I'll do in this video also, when I jump into this, I'll show how to do that. But then they came back and said, okay, that worked perfectly. Now, how do we go and take this 5 column row and squeeze it together? Because the icons were kind of far apart. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to kind of jump in and show you how to take this 5 column row and make it smaller. And then I'm also going to dive into the code because we might actually need to dive into the code and make it smaller with the actual code. We might not. There's one way of doing it in the system editor. And again, we're going to play with this. Okay, I'm doing this live, folks. I say live, but I'm doing this on the fly, and I'm going to kind of troubleshoot this with you all in this video. And then what we're going to do is dive into the code and see, hey, do we need to make any tweaks in the code? And I'll show you how I attack that. And then I'll also, again, go over a few of the other little things with this 5 column row. This is actually a third video that I've done on this 5 column row on how to tweak that code. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So I've pulled up just a standard template that's provided by system.io. That's what we're looking at here. We've got the template there. What we need to do now is I'm going to pop over and grab the actual code for this 5 column row. So do that. So I think first thing that I would do here in this, all right, let's just, the 5 column row is actually designed to go into footers and have all your social icons down there. And so when I was testing this out, I actually created a whole new section. So let's do that. And the reason I'm going to do it in a whole new section is because if it's in a section, there are ways of making it smaller. And I let him know that already. And I say him. I'm going to assume it's him since it's got that H1M at the end. All right. So let's go and add a section. I'm going to drag it up here and we'll put it right above the footer. Next thing I'm going to do is go and grab the raw HTML element, and we're going to pop that raw HTML element into the row that went automatically into the section. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to click into the raw HTML element code. We'll click on edit code, and then we're going to go and take the default code out. I'm going to do Control V to paste the code for the 5 column element into the editor, and then we're going to click on save. Okay. So here's what we're dealing with. And obviously in this particular, they're really wide, right? I mean, they're like, how much wider can you get? Wide. All right. So we click into it and click into it again. So we get the editor panel on the left side to open up for us. And the very first thing that I did to troubleshoot this is I'm like, all right, so if it's in a section, we can definitely make things smaller. And how do we do that? We go into the section elements, okay? And you can tell right now we're in the section. I'm going to open it up, and right up here, we're now in the editor. The section's open, and we know we're in the section because right up here in this top left corner, it says section, okay? All right, now if we scroll down over here on the left, you'll see almost halfway down is full page, is the content width, okay, option, size and position. All right. So when you are designing in system.io, and you might be trying to think, and you might be looking at stuff going, okay, I don't like the way this is all scrunched together, or I don't like the way it's really really wide in this case. Check your section, because that can be a good way. Now, a lot of people like to do wide. As a general rule, from what I understand, wide will have the wide's going to show up better on multiple screen sizes. Okay. So that's what I've heard. And if we're looking at this right now, and let's just go ahead and check on this and go right now to our mobile view. And again, y'all know how I am on mobile. Let's make sure that we're looking at mobile throughout the whole design process. Right now, this looks fine on mobile. So we're going to click back over to desktop. But here's what I want to do also. We're going to click on the eyeball. And for whatever reason, it opened up in my other window. Let's pop this open right here. Okay. So the reason being is we've got this set up for wide right now, and I want to inspect it and just see how well this reacts on mobile view. It might be fine, because that's all we're dealing with is just this 5-column row. But I think it's a good thing to double check. So what I like to do is I'll go and I'll grab my my bar over here, my adjustment bar. And then what we're going to do is just kind of drag it down and just see, does this ever break down and get quirky? Does it ever get weird, right? And I mean, you can go up here and even look and just see, is anything getting weird? All right. So right now, if this was mine, I'd actually go and create some new code to fix this. See how these now they're just like right up against the side. What's the chances of somebody having something that's 904 pixels wide? I don't know. But I personally, right when I get to there, I'm sorry, when it gets to, it's 11, 11, 11, 11, boy, say that 10 times fast, huh? When it gets to 1,116 pixels wide, okay, 904 is the height, things start breaking down. And so I would actually go in and create some CSS. And I say I would create it. I would go into ChatGPT and have ChatGPT help me. As you can see here, I've got ChatGPT open. People, I use it all day long. All day long. All right. And I would fix this. So I would make that so that it looked nicer. But for this video, we're really looking at this. Does our 5-column row break down? And as I'm looking at that, it just jumped. Again, if we're focusing on the 5-column row, it looks like it actually is working pretty nice. And I believe it's been a while since I created this code. I believe I made sure that it would be responsive. Again, and I say I made sure that when I was working with ChatGPT to make sure that this 5-column row was responsive. So there's where it's at right now. Okay. So that's the wide. So let's go back, and if I'm looking over here for the name again, System 05, if System 05-H1M is watching this video, another option would be take it down to medium. Again, see how they got closer. Another option would be take it down to small. Again, it got even closer. And then what I did is extra small, so that was even closer. So one option would be, so that you can control this without having to do any code, is to put this into its own section, right? So that would be one option. But maybe you don't have that option, right? So let's go in here and just look at, I want to go down and look at the footer now. So let's take a look at this footer. And we're going to go into the section settings for the footer. Again, I've clicked into it. The editor has opened for the section, for the footer section, and it is set to wide. So it's not set to extra small, which is what this is at right now. Okay. If we moved everything to extra small, that would make that footer pretty messy. Now, obviously, things do get crunched when you have the editor open. That's another thing to keep in mind. If you're starting to see things crunched and you're kind of getting concerned, how's this going to look? Make sure to collapse the editor panel so that you get a full page so that you can see what exactly is going on. Okay, so I'm going to click on this little tab here to open the editor back open, the editor options back open. Obviously, we do not want this footer section to be extra small. It is, as Dana would say, the co-founder of Zero to Income, as Dana would say, this is a train wreck. So let's go back up to wide. All right. So let's build this 5-column row into our footer where it would naturally be. Now we could do something like this. We could pop this down like this and just call that good. We'd have to do some fancy stuff here to clean things up. Maybe do like 0, okay, and pull that up. We might have to go and put this into down here like that, and then take this out. Okay, so one of the things that I'm doing here is I'm keeping that 5-column row in its own section, and then I'm just kind of pulling it up nice and close to the footer so that it almost looks like it's still part of the footer, right? Same color and all that. And we just kind of tweak some things around to where it looks like it's all one section, okay? So that's one of the options that I would do there. But again, let's just say that we don't want to go that route, for whatever reason. Okay, maybe for whatever design elements we're doing, it just doesn't make sense to have it in its own section. So I'm going to take another raw HTML element. I'm going to drop it right up here with the actual not there. Okay, so now it's right below the subscriber, the opt-in box, and it's right below the navigation stuff. So go there, and let's pop this open and just make sure. Yeah, it's kind of a funky footer. It's a busy footer, as Donald Miller would say. That's your junk drawer. that's definitely a junk drawer. All right, so let's go into here now. And again, I'm going to edit this code. I'm going to click into there. We'll go on up to our blue edit code button. Click on that. We're going to take out that default and we're going to paste in our code and we're going to click on save. Okay. So in this case, we can't do the method that I showed you of making this section a different width because it affects everything else. So in this case, if we want to get it like this, it's like, how do we do that, right? All right. So we got a couple of ideas here, or a couple of things are coming to mind right away. And as I work through this, again, I think that there might be some options here, but without having to even touch that code. So what we have here is, let me go in here. There's this section. We're going to hover over this and look for our other rows. Come on. Okay, so what we've got here is 2 rows, or a row with 2 columns. All right, so we've got 1 row going across 2 columns. And in the left column is the email opt-in with the subscribe, and the right column is the navigation. But right underneath that, but in the same section, in 1 row with 1 column, is our HTML code, okay, for the 5-column row. So the reason I'm saying that is because we can now just kind of work with probably padding. So if you haven't watched my videos before, we have padding is the amount of space between the actual elements and the edge of like the bounding area. All right. So in other words, padding is the amount of space between the the Facebook icon and this edge, and the Facebook icon and the bottom, and the Facebook icon and the top. It's all of the stuff inside. Margin is the space between elements. So it's the space between this 5-column row and the stuff above it. So margin is the space between this row, this whole row, and that row above it. All right, so it's the space between these two things here. All right, so let's go in here and take a peek at this. So we have the raw HTML element, but I want the row. I want that row right there. So I'm going to click on the row. Okay, and you can see the whole row lit up. You know, you can see the blue border letting us know that's what we're working with lit up. Okay, and if you look at the top left-hand corner there, we have padding of 10 all the way around. And again, the padding's the inside. We have margin of 0. Okay. What I'm focusing on here for this particular question of can we get them to get closer is probably the padding. Okay, because we want to take everything and squish them all together within that row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into the option to open up all 4. This would be to make everything the same. So I'd click on this, and if I wanted all 4 top, bottom, left, and right to all be the same, then I would click on this one. But I want individuals because I'm going to leave at the top alone. 10's fine, at least right now. Bottom's fine right now. Okay, but we want to see if we can get them to move closer together. So I'm going to go over here to the right, and I'm going to do probably. Notice nothing's changed as I'm doing this. Nothing's changing. So, but now it is. Look at that magic. We have magic. So right around 60 or so, we start seeing some movement. All right. So I'm going to pop this up to about 60, about 70. Actually, I'm going to do 75. Going to do the same thing on the left. Okay. What I did on the right, I want to do also on the left. So it's not wonky. Wonky's not allowed. All right. So I don't know about you all. I like the way things came out on that bottom section that we were doing with everything just in the section. So I'm going to do even more on left and right, right and left. All right, so I'm gonna probably click this up to about 125. Let's just do this, 125, and do that. Do the same thing here, 125. Doesn't look like it's doing much for some reason. And it could very well be, maybe there is a limitation on just how much we can go in. But let's just do something. There we go. There we go. So right now we're at 200. Another thing is, just because it stopped there doesn't mean we can't add more. So let's do 200 on both sides. So again, I think that is looking pretty good. All right. Is it as good as that bottom section? No. So just because we got to here and it stopped doesn't mean we can't maybe add more. So what I mean is just manually enter 250. And we're already seeing that it did change. We're going to do the same thing here, 250. All right, it's getting close. I'm going to go up to 275. And I don't think it's still not right there. Let's just go. Let's go big. We're going to go 325. We're going to go up 350 more. It's actually a little bit smaller. Okay. And I even might like that even better than the bottom one. Okay. So this is what we would do. We don't have to mess with the code at all. All we're going to do is just mess with that top, the right and left padding. And I'll actually go back and leave another comment on that last video for System 05-H1M. And what I'm going to do here, let's check mobile, right? Let's go ahead and just take a quick peek. And that looks good on mobile too. Really, really happy with the way that's looking. But again, we have more than just full on desktop and mobile. So again, I'm going to go back to desktop view. I'm going to click my save changes. I'm going to go ahead and click on the eyeball. All right. So now what we're going to do is scroll all the way down. And if you're not seeing this ability to, I meant to scroll all the way down. If we're not seeing the ability to grab this to see, It's because it hasn't been toggled. So you might need to toggle the device toolbar, which is this. Uh, it's the icon, and I'm hovering over it right now. Toggle device toolbar, Control Shift M, and it almost looks like a hangman, but I think what it is it's showing you desktop and then mobile view. But it looks to me like a phone that's being hung. Ah, they're hanging a phone. Let's click that off and see what I'll show you. See how we're not able to drag this down now. So we need to toggle that device. What's it called? Hover over it again. It's called, come on, be nice. Toggle device toolbar. Okay. So if you aren't seeing this, that's why. So let's see what happens when we drop this. Probably going to be fine because I've got it so scrunched. We don't normally see things start breaking down when we're minimizing the width of a window um, until it gets to the point where it's starting to push stuff. And because we've actually made it smaller, it's probably not going to affect this at all. But I like to double check. So again, just like I said, okay, so it does actually it starts pushing them together when you get smaller. And that's a good thing because I mean maybe it pushes them to the point where they overlap, and we're going to find that out right now. And I don't think it will because we already looked. Um, but so far, I'm happy with all that. Still happy with that. It's still getting to me right now. It seems like that top row is still getting a little too close, but it's not. What's the word I'm looking for? Um, it's not a game changer. What would really bother me if this was a production website was what we're seeing here with the subscribe and all this. See how that's just getting all scrunched up? There's no padding at all. Same thing up here. I mean, this stuff is just like all scrunched up. This is where I'd be going in and creating some CSS where it displayed this stuff nicer. And what it would do is, in this case, we would probably be dropping the font to a smaller size, be dropping all this to a smaller size, be dropping the button to a smaller size. A lot of stuff's going to be happening to go in with the CSS code for this. But what are the chances of somebody viewing this on an 892 by 904 viewport? I don't know. But right there, this right here, the actual footer section above our 5-column row, that would alarm me more than what is happening here. So this I can actually live with. When we go and I can still live with that. That's fine. And it dropped it down. Right here at 780, that again, now it's wider, and I'm not really super happy with that per se. But again, it's still not a game changer. Again, the question comes to mind: how many people are going to be at 780 by 904? But we go and look at that, and I'm thinking that's fine. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to open this up all the way up. And let's use the drop down arrow up here where it says dimensions responsive. That allows us to just drag stuff around and make it our own custom size. But let's go and actually say, I want to see what it looks like on a Pro. Scroll all the way down. Yeah, I'm good on that. Okay, I also want to see what it looks like on a Pixel 7. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Again, I'm only focused here right now on our 5-column row. This here, that looks like garbage to me. I would definitely, if this was a production website, I would probably go in here and fix this stuff. Whoever created this template that I pulled from system.io didn't really think about that. I kind of wish that the templates they put into system.io for production, and I'm saying production because I mean they're there for people to grab them and use them. I'm kind of surprised. I wish that they would test things out mobile more. They don't. And so when you're using templates from system, this is a perfect example of make sure you go in and check the mobile stuff because they're not always very pretty. All right. But that being said, again, for all intents and purposes, I'm okay with this. So that's the Pixel 7. Let's see what it looks like an iPad mini. Again, then I would probably be having a lot more, not a lot. I'd have some margin between support and that 5-column row. I'd have some margin in there. And this is all stuff that I would pull in with some CSS. iPad Air. Let's see what that looks like with an iPad Air. Actually, it looks pretty darn good with an iPad Air. Again, this looks awful, but the 5-column row looks pretty good. But the the original navigation, the original footer looks pretty bad. All right, so we're gonna go over here and let's see a Surface Pro. Wow, that's trippy. Okay. Again, I'm paying attention to our 5-column rows, and I think both of them look fine. Surface Duo. Yeah, looks fine. Okay, so you can see that we can go in here and Asus ZenBook fold. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. So you can see that as far as the 5-column rows, for the most part, it looks pretty good. We might get a little OCD and say, yeah, there's points where it's just a little too wide. And we can go in there and play with that with the CSS code if we really, really wanted to. Right now, when I'm looking at this, most versions of everything that I've looked at were okay. That's, again, I'm just focusing on these 5-column rows. Both of them look fine there. That looks fine to me. And I would just go down each one of these ones here. These are going to be the standard kind of sizes that people are going to be using and looking at this. Again, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just exit out of this. All right. Now we're going to go back to our editor. So we don't even have to touch the code. But if you did, you could go into the code and, you could go into edit code. And another question that came up was, how do we change the colors? All right. And we go up to edit code. And in here is where you would go and change colors. You could change the sizes of the icons. Again, I did another video on how to go in and edit the actual social page that it's going to. Maybe let's look at this real quick. We've got LinkedIn. Maybe it's Twitter that you want, and you don't want LinkedIn. So I have another video. Check that out up in the top right-hand corner there on how to go and change that. But even in this one, they're kind of gray. We can't see it. So what I'm going to use my color picker right here. ColorZilla is the plugin that I'm using here. I'm going to click on that. Come on. There we go. And I'm going to make it the blue. Okay. So what it's doing is it's copying the hex code for that blue. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to these icons, or to the code. We're going to click on edit code. And here, what you want to do is play around with this. I'm not a coder, so some of this stuff to me, I have a general idea what this stuff does. I know enough is what they say. The term is to be dangerous. So you can go in here and play around with it. There's no reason why you can't go in here and play around with it. So right now we have social media row A. So anything that's a link is what this is saying. A is for hyperlinks, is an A link, I guess. It's saying inherit. What this means, it's inheriting the default text color. So we can go in here and we can say, let's make this, right here's the color code option here. So we're going to go up here and we're going to do a paste and see if that will take everything out. So I'm going to actually copy this or do a Control X so I can paste it back in. But we're going to do that. And then I'm going to save it and see what happens. Nothing happened. Now, why didn't anything happen is because it's the text color, not the icon color. All right. So now we got to figure out what's that, right? And that's kind of what I was getting at, was I know enough to be dangerous. So we're going to go up here and do the edit code. And again, we're going to keep the text decoration and any of the links there. We're going to have the same as inherit. We're going to put that right back. Actually, let's see here. Do it this way. Paste. And then I'm going to take this out. Control X. And let's just make sure. So we now know that that didn't work. But I do know that there is some code down here, right down here where we have this div class. Each of these ahrefs are the lines of code, and each one of these lines that starts off right here is for a specific icon. So this is for the Facebook icon. This one's here for the Instagram icon. This one's here for LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And in this is stuff I'm bringing over from Font Awesome. Okay. And so you just copy the code from Font Awesome. In my other video, again, check up above. I go how to go in there and change this. But right in here is where, starting right here with this SVG, this is where you go in and tweak the characteristics of those icons. All right. If we want to make them bigger, height and width, make them bigger. All right. But right now what we're looking for is a hex code. So you scroll all the way down here, and about right there, we're going to see path fill. Right there, path fill. Right here is the color that it's pulling. So I'm going to paste this in. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this. And so only this one icon is going to be changed. And click on save. And there it is. See how that's the only one that's blue. It's because we didn't do anything else with it. We didn't do anything else with these other icons. Okay. So we're going to go back to our edit code. Let's go all the way back down to where our code is for each of those icons. We just did the Facebook one. We're going to go all the way back over here to where it says path fill and has a hex code. And here it is. We're going to go and change this for each one of these. Paste that in. Take the space out. Don't know why it's putting the space in. I must have grabbed a space when I copied it. Paste that in. Paste that in. Paste that in. And space. Okay, I did the backspace to take the space out. Now, I told you could also make these bigger if you wanted. All right. So with this one, the first one, the Facebook one's easy. It's 32 by 32. So we can just add, and you want to make sure that you don't make them wonky. So whatever you add to the left side to the height, make sure you add to the width. So let's just do 12 here. And so 12 will be 44. And then we're going to do the same thing here by 44. And looks to me like all the heights are 44. So we're going to just do 44 all the way down. 44. 44. 44. Whoop, 344. That'd be really big, huh? Actually, that'd be super wonky at this point. It'd actually be super wonky at any point, actually. All right. I put in 34. Come on, 44. All right, double check, 44 all the way down. All right, this one, 12 is going to be 40. 48 for that one. This will be 40. And this will also be 40. All right. So now what we do when we save this, they're all going to be blue, and they're all going to be a little bit bigger, and you can compare it to the one down below. So we'll click on save. And hopefully I didn't break everything, huh? And so there we are. We actually have them bigger. And we are now matching maybe the theme of the page. I'm not really a fan of this blue, but I'm not a fan of that blue even all the way up the page. I'd probably change it. But at least it's now matching the theme of the page. But as you can see, it's smaller here. So we could do the same thing. We could, instead of being 32 across the board, we could drop this down to, I don't know, 25 and play with it if you want them to be even smaller. I'm thinking 32 is actually pretty good though. So there you go. That's how you would go in and tweak the settings for the padding to push these social icons closer together. And two, how to go in and change the colors and the sizes. All right. So that's it for now. If you're really liking these System.io videos, we have a whole playlist on System.io videos. Check it out in the comments down below. And if you would like to have this code for this 5-column row, the code that we were using throughout this video, you can sign up for the free System.io toolbox. That's also in the description down below. This toolbox is something that has been growing and growing and growing. We continually add new tools to it. So it's not one of those toolboxes that you get and it's just going to be, tools sitting in the toolbox getting rusty. Just like the tools in your garage, you need a new tool. You go down to Home Depot here in the United States. If you're not in the United States, Home Depot is one of the hardware stores here. You go down to Home Depot and you grab yourself a new tool. Same thing here. When we come across a tool that's needed, if someone lets us know, hey, can you do this? Dana and I will go see if we can figure it out. If it's something that Dana and I are like, hey, we need this, we'll go figure it out if we can. So the keywords there if we can. We're pretty good about figuring stuff out when we need to, but there might be cases where, sorry, I don't know how to make that tool. But that being said, down below, thanks for watching, everybody.